Hi, I'm Claire Ibrahim, a partner at Deloitte Access Economics and a lead author of a newly NAB commissioned report in the second in our series called All Systems Go, Powering Ahead. And I'm really excited to be here today with Jacqui Fox to discuss the findings of the report and what we think it means for Australia's economy. Jacqui, I'm really keen to hear from you what your reaction is to this report and the analysis within it.
Good question, Claire. First response was game on. It really did bring home to me the enormity of the challenge. It is a massive challenge for our country, but with every challenge is an opportunity.
That's
so
right.
No doubt that the transition will cost, but the key, I think, for our country is how do we make it as low cost transition as possible and also capitalise on the opportunity that's within our grasp.
And in the new report, what was your main takeaway? Because there are probably several, but I'd be really interested to hear from you what yours was.
Well, there was more than one main takeaway, but the main takeaways were a massive infrastructure requirement. I think also that concept of the lowest cost transition and the investment, the huge investment that needs to be made to minimise the cost of the transition. And then the other takeaway was the additive economic opportunity for Australia if we position ourselves to take advantage of our abundant natural resources, which we have done historically. Can we do that in a decarbonised world and really capitalise on those export opportunities?
The report showed us there's a $435 billion economic opportunity for Australia as part of the transition. But what does that mean for NAB?
Well, for NAB, we're a relationship bank, we're a business bank, and so that opportunity means opportunity for our customers. When I think even from a year ago, we've got so much further advanced in terms of our policy settings, that gives greater confidence to our customers. And our role ultimately is to support our customers in the transition and decarbonisation opportunity.
Absolutely.
Can you talk to competitively decarbonising versus just achieving net zero?
Yeah, absolutely. So if Australia kind of just meets its emissions reduction targets both in 2030 and 2050, without thinking about how we can export decarbonisation opportunities to the rest of the world and grow new and emerging green industrial activity, we won't really be replacing what otherwise has to decline as part of that transition. So we're really going to be missing a trick in Australia's transition story. And if we want to get the most bang for buck out of what we are going to be investing and spending in to achieve net zero, we want to be investing in the things that means Australia can export it and the world will buy it from us, because that's where the economic opportunity comes from. And so as part of that, just meeting targets, that's going to be the bare minimum. It's really not going to give us the full size of the economic prize that comes from transitioning to net zero.
Claire, the report talks about our green industry opportunity. What are the challenges in terms of capitalising on our opportunities?
Yeah, it's a good question. And our green industries are the ones where ultimately they are the input into processes or technologies or activities that will reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And for Australia, those industries are really going to be based on our natural advantages, which are around critical minerals, the processing of them, metals manufacturing, renewable energy, and of course, potentially green hydrogen as well. But to get all of those industries of a right kind of scale and size to reach that kind of export market that we want to achieve, we're going to have to overcome some barriers to growth. And that's also the nature of how you get a least cost transition. And particularly with 7 years to go until 2030, where we know some of that really heavy lifting of transition has to occur, particularly with renewable energy. Some of those challenges around the infrastructure projects and approvals, getting the coordination right, to overcome the challenges around time, but also what makes it least cost, will need to happen, and that'll need to happen quickly. And how we do this matters. How we meet our targets matters. And that's what can set us up for that least cost pathway where green industrial exports deliver a really big economic opportunity for Australia.
So effective and efficient planning.
Effective and efficient planning, of course.
So the report says Australia has what the world wants in terms of global decarbonisation.
Yep.
How do we make sure that the world wants to buy it from us?
Well, for starters, we've got to create those industries, the products, the services to be able to provide them to the world to meet that demand. And that in part means getting the renewables transition right. You know, it's going to be the foundation of a lower cost transformed energy system, and arguably over time, more energy. And more energy will have to be an input into these new green industrial sectors, the role of critical minerals in our economy expanding, the nature of developing green hydrogen as a commercially viable export, and as well for use kind of domestically. Overcoming kind of the nature of the challenges and setting that up is what will deliver on the opportunity, that $435 billion prize basically for Australia, which is up for grabs if we get the transition right.
Claire, thanks so much for coming in today and talking with us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Jacqui. It's been wonderful to discuss the economic opportunity for Australia.